Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, and welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we talk about nerd news that has happened over the course of the past week since last Tuesday's show. By we, I mean the folks at Nerd Caliber, and specifically, I mean I'm Rodney Brown, the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook and Instagram as a cosplay photographer, Burley_adopter on Twitter, a couple of other places, and joining me tonight is the fantabulous Gogo, if you would introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Gogo Incognito. I'm actually a Nerd Caliber OG. So if you've been around with Nerd Caliber for a hot minute, you've probably seen me. I kind of almost predate Rodney.
You do.
But I
and
do.
Look much better.
Nobody's keeping score. Anyway, anytime I can get back and do this show, I'm so thrilled to be here. And we've got some great stuff to talk about tonight. Also, you can find me doing wonderful things on the internet at gogo_incognito on Instagram. And I will be at DragonCon. If you're a DragonCon person, come again. Find me on my Instagram because I will be hosting events every single day.
Awesome. We will, of course, have a team at DragonCon, pending press pass approvals and things like that. So once again, look for, as our usual, Bent Pick 5 will be there, and one of our newest members, Faulty Leyline, will also be there. So check it out. Get your photos taken if you're going to be at DragonCon. So before we get into the topics tonight, of course, we do our little promo here for our presence on Twitch. If you happen to be a Twitch subscriber, if you have a Twitch account, that is, we would love to have you check us out at twitch.tv/nerdcaliber. The URL that's on your screen right there, looking to build that following to be something like we've got on Facebook Live, where we're also streaming right now, and YouTube, where we're also streaming right now. And before we get into topic number one, let's see, Rerun Trading. Yes, you are first. Welcome to the show. If you do have anything that you want to weigh in on about any of these topics, our opinion on it or your own opinion on it, your opinion on our opinion, you can do that.
We're here for your thoughts and your feelings.
Exactly. Just not your thoughts and prayers.
No, tots and pears.
Tots and pears. We won't turn them down.
Tots and pears.
Particularly tots and pears. Great combo. Anyway, our first topic tonight, we're going to start off with, and unfortunately this has been kind of a running thing for the last few weeks, is, in this case, a couple of remembrances. More than a week ago, actually, and I kind of missed this for the last show, the German director Wolfgang Petersen passed away at the age of 81. And you may not particularly remember him for his nerdy work, because most people think of Wolfgang Petersen, Das Boot, In the Line of Fire, Air Force One. What was the most recent one that you mentioned to me, Gogo?
Well, I did. I also am just taking a second right now to look up when Outbreak came out.
Yes.
And that's one of the things. So again, I'm sorry.
Outbreak, which had this crazy resurgence, obviously, in the last couple of years, because COVID.
This is the thing. I mean, I watched Outbreak with my parents. I am a post-apocalyptic just lover of that kind of storyline. Absolutely, in multiple media. And when we go through things like we have been for the past few years, it gets a little bit closer home. So, of course, Outbreak came back with a resurgence, I think, in the book for sure.
Yeah, and the movie definitely was one of the top watched video on demands on whatever streaming platform it happened to be on.
Yes.
But he is known for a couple of pretty decent, very decent, I think, and pretty well-known nerd movies, including Enemy Mine, Lou Gossett Jr. as a Drac, an alien from an alien race who is in a dogfight with a human pilot played by Dennis Quaid, the non-crazy Quaid. And they both get shot down on a planet, this very dangerous, highly volcanic, unstable planet, and they basically have to work together to survive. And that's sort of just the beginning of the story. It gets really more interesting from that. A great exploration of xenophobia and prejudice, and it's excellent.
And I think, Rodney, I think you mentioned just when I was looking up again when Outbreak came out, Never Ending Story.
And that is the one that probably most people would be either aware that he made or very surprised that the guy who made In the Line of Fire and Air Force One made. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you are a beautiful human who has not come across Never Ending Story yet, this is a cult classic. Absolutely. It helped define a generation. And all I really have to say to that is watch it when and if you can, because then you'll find a lot more discussions and a lot more memes and a lot more things where you're like, oh, I get it.
Yes.
Cult classic of the youth of the 1980s, Sisk.
Yes.
Right?
And don't bother with any of the sequels. Petersen didn't make them.
Oh no, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're talking post-apocalyptic. We're talking again, when our childhood movies were also really harsh and traumatic, but they were beautiful.
Yes.
And they helped shape us. Absolutely. So, Wolfgang, Petersen, thank you for your work. Thank you for helping to shape the generation, whether it was Air Force One or Never Ending Story, or again, giving us a really wonderful book to movie of Outbreak.
Yeah. And one of his, so he also did, this is the one I forgot, Perfect Storm, which everybody in New England here knows.
And I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's true. A lot of people everywhere knows, but it really hits home, obviously, because it happened to people right here in Gloucester.
It's one of those true storytellings. If you like maritime stuff, if you're into boats and you're into storms and you're into also, what a great cast, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Truly incredible. Just again,
probably one of the best things that Wahlberg ever did. Mark, that is. And I mean, I know that's a low bar, but still, having a director like
Clooney was excellent. I do remember it being a cast movie, and my family grew up on the coast. We were, I have family that were fisher people, and I was raised on boats, and this was a big time movie. Again, if you like apocalyptic movies and tales, this isn't apocalyptic, but it is intense, and it's good, and it's the kind of thing you're not gonna exactly get like this in this day and age. Go back and watch it. It stands the test of time.
Yeah. And if you're from New England, ignore Diane Lane's attempt at a Massachusetts accent. Other than that, it's wonderful. All right. Also, this past week, in fact, this past Thursday, we got also at the age of 81 the death of comic book inker and commercial artist Tom Palmer Sr. Shown here next to probably one of his most famous works with penciler Neil Adams, the issue of the X-Men, I believe 58, X-Men 58, in which it was the first appearance of Alex Summers as Havoc, Scott's brother as the superhero Havoc. That whole run, when Neil Adams took over the book, I think in the early 50s issues, and then through into the mid 60s of issues, which has their second, the X-Men's second appearance in the Savage Land, that then goes right into the Sentinel storyline, which is where Havoc appears, and it's just beautiful artwork, fantastic inking. He worked very closely with Neil Adams in a lot of works, but also with Gene Colan when Gene Colan took over Doctor Strange from Steve Ditko. And but oh, and also Daredevil. But he was probably best known working with Colin on this here, The Tomb of Dracula. And look at the ink lines in these black and white pages.
Exactly. Oh, that's what I'm looking at. That's actually what I'm looking at right now,
Yeah.
Rodney. They're beautiful and they're perfect. And I will say some of his earlier work was a little hyper saturated for me.
Well, the color stuff, yes, but he wasn't the colorist. So
Oh, you're right. You just said that.
yeah,
Thank you for that reminder. Because that's an easy thing to pull up and look at his art and see the hyper saturated colors, which was the thing at the time. But you're right. You're right.
yeah,
This beautiful line work, it
Yeah.
is just beyond. And the scope of what he did and the minutia that he could do in those comics,
yep.
absolutely splendid.
Yeah.
And
Apparently, I don't know this, but I think he may have been too detailed for some of the artists. Like if you look at his inking on stuff that he did in Avengers with John Buscema, it's much simpler line work. And almost
I'm going down his rabbit hole right now,
Yeah.
and it is so beautiful, but it's so complete
Yeah.
that it's almost like how in the black and white scape. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I mean, you could have
how
published
does
this.
the colors come in here and make it better when it's already perfect?
Exactly. You could have published this as a super high quality black and white indie comic when the indie craze hit in the 80s, and nobody would have blinked and batted an eye. This is Byrne Hogarth, Prince Valiant stuff from back in the 40s. He has a Frank Frazetta-like inking style, which when he's allowed to do it, or he did, unfortunately, when he was allowed to do it, like when he was working with Gene Colan, it was beautiful.
And I want to say again to people who have followed some of these comics, but they don't know exactly who the artist or the colorist are. If you currently, because I'm looking this up in real time, if you currently go to the 10 best Tom, comics, you're gonna get that whole hyper saturated look, and that, as Rodney just says, that does not tell the tale. It really doesn't, because we're looking at him as an artist, as a storyteller, and as a line artist. So
right. The colorists, this is the late 60s for most of his most popular work, and the colorists were really leaning heavily into the psychedelia. They wanted and pop art and so on. They wanted, Peter Max sort of stuff. And so the colorists were giving them that, and those hypersaturated colors would be laid over these absolutely outstanding ink jobs. But
they also take, when you look at the ink jobs, when you look at what he's doing, what he's done, what he did in other places, you'll see how, that hyper colorization and the saturation takes away from it a little bit. So rest in power, man, right?
Yes. Condolences to his family. His son, Tom Palmer Jr., is an editor at DC.
Hey!
So, condolences to all of his family and his friends. I would, in addition to, I love that sort of detailed, like I said, Byrne Hogarth, Frank Frazetta inking sort of look.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to follow that. He can follow the look of the penciler. He was the inker on Kick-Ass. So if you look at the heavier, solid, more thicker lines that John Romita Jr. likes to draw, he just followed right along with his style. So, he was a really talented artist. It's a shame to see him go. And I get that that's, most of his most well-known works were late 60s and into the mid-70s. And so, that's a guy my age kind of, gosh, I hate to see this guy go. But if...
And it's a gal my age reminding of things I've seen back in the past, especially since my comic journey started with Spider-Man, X-Men, and Catwoman. Batman. But Catwoman showed up, okay?
Yeah, he
So,
did some work with DC. Predominantly, he did Dennis Cowan on Steel, but not a lot. He was mostly a Marvel guy.
yes, for sure. Again, just saying, I remember this, but not in his line art glory. So,
Yeah. So
Tom, you really made a thing, and you'll be missed.
he will. So check it out, folks. If you haven't, just go back and look at some of those older X-Men issues or Daredevil issues, or what have you. All right, moving on to our next topic. This is kind of wild, folks. This is promotional art from an upcoming card set that will be sold for Magic the Gathering, that is in celebration of the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. So there will be a theme set of cards in what they call their Universes Beyond line, which will feature every single Doctor, multiple companions, multiple villains, every single Doctor, including the 14th Doctor, who has not yet aired, the upcoming Ncuti Gatwa.
Yes.
So if you're a Doctor Who fan and a Magic the Gathering fan, boy, is your world coming together.
All right, I have some things to say. May I?
You may. You, of course,
Thank
you
you.
always may.
I'm sorry.
You always may.
Thank you. So, Magic the Gathering, let's be real. There's always a thing with it, but one of the things I have embraced and loved in the past chunk of years, honestly, in the past decade, are the femmes and thems who have adopted it as wonderful. So it's not just like a dude thing anymore. And I don't know if you've seen the recent resurgence of playing Magic. Again, especially with all the convoluted stuff that's coming out otherwise with Wizards of the Coast. But MTG has been giving us what we want and what we need in extended play for Magic the Gathering. And doing this with Doctor Who with the 60th, again, it's the 60th anniversary. Also knowing that our boys and thems and gals are also filming things. It is familiar and yet unknown, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. And everything that I've heard from the inside is that they are truly taking care of us Whovians, and not just us, but also all of the actors who are giving their face, their voice, their presence to all of this. So it's just gonna be a wild ride. And also, hi, I'm Gogo, and I love to play Magic. And if you want to play with me, please hit me up for sure. But this is there have been, now a bunch of crossovers with not just, Wizards of the Coast or MTG, like folklore or lore or legend or all of this. There's a bunch of like taking into, again, like real life fiction. I'm not exactly sure what to say, but this is one of the ones I've seen that's a bit more thorough than just fan service.
And they also announced, and this is weird because they put these all together and it's like one announcement, and the Doctor Who thing is just so much more impactful for a lot of people, unless you happen to be in these other fandoms. They are adding, because they've had a set related to this before, but they're adding new stuff to Lord of the Rings and Warhammer 40,000, which is apparently brand new. That's going into a set they call the Commander decks.
Yes, of course. The Commander decks are big and they're very important. So that's always a thing.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I got very passionate.
That's okay. Passion is good.
You were talking about Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. I have a bunch of friends, and Rodney, you do too. You have several friends who play this competitively.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So
and there are just super fans, even if they don't play Magic the Gathering. If Greg was on the show right now, he would say, "Oh, they buried the lead. What is this Doctor Who stuff? They're releasing Lord of the Rings." Oh, so Luminous. Hello, all. I want to see some Doctors on season 3 of Picard. That would be a very interesting crossover. I'm not sure how
wait, what? Picard?
not sure how they would pull that off. Well, you
I
do get to
know.
see the
Luminous. I understand. In the comics, the crossover, Doctor Who and Star Trek, and the audio.
oh, there's an
You.
audio book or audio.
There, yeah, yes, no, there have been books or short plays or whatnot that are Star Trek and Doctor Who have an established crossover.
They do under IDW Publishing, which publishes an awful lot of the IPs, licensed a lot of the IPs from science fiction shows. And I just remembered that my buddy J.K. Woodward did the art for most of the crossovers at IDW. So,
and it all comes back to us being experts of nerd news here at Nerd Caliber.
We dabble. All right, so folks, if you're a Magic fan and or a Doctor Who fan or Warhammer 40,000 or Lord of the Rings, get ready for it. The Warhammer 40,000 stuff is coming up in October. The other two, I believe, are 2023 when those sets get released. All right, moving on to our next topic. This just dropped as part of the opening night live celebrations from Gamescom in Germany, which means it was actually, middle of the night or very early morning. Or anyway, Dune Awakening, the first trailer for this MMO survival game from Funcom, the makers of kind of the standard for MMO survival games at this point, Conan Exiles. The trailer for Dune Awakening dropped, and this is one of the images from it of a Fremen about to go, worm riding with the maker hooks in his hands, and the trailer is gorgeous.
It really is. Oh. It is absolutely stunning.
Yep. The voice acting, it is a voiceover of what assumes is a major character. The character that you see here is probably a character you can create or a look you can create. In these MMO survival games, you create your own character. You may run into somebody in the Dune world that is from the books or the movies. Like in Conan Exiles, you may run into Valyria or Conan or who have you. But
I will still, Rodney, I just want to say in this moment, because House of the Dragon just came out.
Yeah.
As the Game of Thrones super fan that I am, I still have not quite gotten over when there was the Game of Thrones in Telltale Games.
Yeah.
Where again, I was like, oh, I know these voices. I know these characters. I'll be fine. And I died horribly. Every time. Point is, even if you recognize the characters and the places and the things, this is a whole new venture.
Oh yeah, if you walk up to Stilgar, don't go, hey, I know Stilgar, you're from the stab in the neck. You're not going to make it.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly why I said, like, I learned that the hard way 3 times with Game of Thrones, where I'm like, oh, Tyrion, you will never betray me. And, like, did not work out for me.
But so generally the way these games work is you create a character that has as little as possible that will allow you to do basic survival. On Dune, that's probably going to be a lot more than it is in Conan, where you literally appear naked. And so, but from that point on, you have to gather resources and build everything you need to then thrive and survive, gather friends, build communities, and so on. So I'm guessing that what you see in the trailer, which is literally, as I said, you've got a Fremen here who's in a full still suit, has 2 maker hooks, and is about to jump on a worm. that ain't at the beginning of the game. I'm almost positive.
No, for sure, of course.
Now, it's no announcement of when it's coming out, but they do say a beta test is coming fairly soon, and you can sign up for that beta test on the website. So if you're interested in trying this out, watch the trailer. The website for the beta test sign up is right there at the end, and go check it out. I am very excited about this. Not quite as excited as I am about the movie Dune Part 2, but pretty darn close. All right, so our next topic is I was excited.
Is it more WB stuff, Rodney?
No, it is Netflix stuff, and it is Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
The trailer for Wednesday dropped right after a bunch of images, the first images we actually got to see of Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And I liked the concept initially. I was a little worried about Tim Burton's involvement, but still
with you right there, as you know. When
they cast Jenna Ortega, I went, okay, she's got the look. I buy it. It's a different look than previous actresses, but that's fine. I dig it. And then they showed the actual photos of the cast, and Luis Guzman is Gomez Adams.
Yes, he is. Thank you. The
So
only
perfect.
little bit of an ish right there is his wig.
Oh yeah, well, but yes, but then again, if you look at Gomez in the original cartoons, his hair is so bad.
I know, but we need to get that in because again, in the comics, Gomez's hair moves,
right?
And we just need to see Gomez's hair move like that again because right now it does look a little bit like a carpet on his head. Let's be real. But that is the best critique you can give. Is just not to pull in Sandman here, but it's just like, oh, Lucifer, wonderful in every way. Gwendolyn Christie, the wig.
Yeah. And that's a criticism, again, not to pull in House of the Dragon, but that's a criticism I've heard from a lot of people who are wig experts about House of the Dragon.
Of course, exactly same thing. But he, of course, and I am happy that Nerd Caliber stands with the defense of him because
100%.
he is going to be amazing. And anybody who's like, oh no, an actor who actually looks Latin and looks like Gomez in the comics, they don't know nothing about nothing. I was set to not want this because of the Tim Burton racism. But at least there are brown people in this. And Jenna Ortega looks amazing. Catherine Zeta-Jones, I wouldn't have cast her, but Louise Guzman, very happy.
Yep. And apparently, I don't know whether the producers, the show creators, Millar and Guff, who created Smallville, went out of their way and said, hey, you know what? We're going to cast a Latin to play somebody named Gomez. So, duh. Then Jenna Ortega, of course, Latin. And Pugsley is being played by Isaac Ordonez. Latin.
Da-da-da-da.
Exactly.
Da-da-da-da.
So
yeah, we love to see this. Also, this is when I have to shout myself out once again, Rodney. I have a personal thing with this because in the TV show, I'm actually directly related to the original Lurch.
I didn't know that.
You don't know this? I feel like we talked about this. I absolutely am on my father's.
Way back when we first met, I think we probably did. This is sounding vaguely familiar.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yes, I am direct lineage with Lurch. And yes, he was that tall. Also, he and I share this weird thing where with our thumbs, it does not curve, it's straight across. And Lurch's daughter was a hand model.
Wow.
Yes, and I can go on. I could go on. I could go on. But anyway, yes, my father's Scottish side kept meticulous stuff, and that's a very proud point of my history.
Oh,
And
as
again,
it should be.
there's this weird stuff in my family about not having cuticles that curve; they go straight across.
That is a little weird.
It is actually,
So
yes,
I'm looking
it
at my
really
hands
is.
now, going, really? Okay.
Yeah. Not just thumbs, like all the fingers.
And so basically, you're a mutant. Okay, that's cool. You know, Charles Xavier would be proud.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen the trailer, folks, and if you're on the fence about this because of Tim Burton's involvement or because you were 100% a Raul Julia stan and you just can't imagine anybody else, go watch the trailer.
Go watch it.
Because it's Wednesday. It is about Wednesday. It's not about the Addams family. And of course, Gomez and Morticia and Lurch and probably Cousin It, although they're really being cagey about that, is going to be in it. But it's Wednesday's series, and this trailer makes it clear that it's Wednesday's series. It also makes it clear that they aren't easing up on the more violent and mean aspects of some of the Addams family stuff.
And again, remember, they were meant to be the perfect family who was, again, they were the first like alt family, right? Remember, they are a great family where the parents support the kids.
Yep.
And the elder relatives are just brought in. It's all about family, and it's subversive, but it's correct. And I had actually been so ready to not want this and hate this, but I think Jenna Ortega is going to slay.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to give away what they do here because it's kind of fun seeing it happen in the trailer, but the pool scene...
And it's done.
Exactly.
It's really good. Yeah, I got nothing else to say. I'm in for it.
So go check it out, folks. You'll really like the trailer. It may not sway the haters. Nothing's going to, but it will sway. I think a lot of people who are on the fence.
If your hate is because Luis Guzman isn't as conventionally attractive as Raul Julia.
Yeah.
I'm trying to blow a raspberry. Hold on. It's not working. It's not coming across. The point is poo-poo on you. Because again, please go see all of the posts comparing him to the original Gomez. They literally casted to type with the original comic.
Height,
and
head shape, general features, just... It's
all
Gomez.
All of the things. And if you think Raul Julia would come and not look at him and be like, a worthy successor, then again, you don't know the Addams family, and just stop.
Yes. Stop about a lot of things if you're that person. But moving on to people who should be stopped. Although, actually, you know what? I think we're going to do these slightly out of order. We're going to start with what is potentially actually kind of surprisingly good news coming out of Warner Brothers. Who would have thought? This is, of course, a scene from The Batman, the recent Batman take by Matt Reeves. The news is that Warner Brothers has signed Reeves and his production company, 6th and Idaho, to a first look film deal, which means anything he makes, they get the option to do it. And if they say no, he can take it somewhere else. But if he comes up with a movie idea, Warner Brothers is going to be the first to do it.
And he is the first filmmaker given that option.
Right, since the Warner Brothers Discovery's merger. And since, Zaslav changed everybody at the upper levels of the motion picture division or motion picture group.
Right.
He is also apparently re-upped with the television group, which means that the Batman series spin-off series, The Penguin, starring Colin Farrell, like he was in the movie, is ongoing. There was a lot of speculation about whether that would be canceled. One of the strong implications out of this is that since we know Zaslav has said they are going to try to emulate Marvel with a coherent 10-year plan, and a lot of people went, yes, this means that they've got to be bringing back Zack Snyder because he's already got all of these movies and they're ready to go, and they're doing Aquaman, which was definitely the Snyderverse. This implies that their 10-year DC plan for movies is going to be probably controlled by Matt Reeves and content coming out of The Batman. So
I'm fine with this. I didn't love The Batman. I got bored.
It was only an hour too long.
Yeah,
3 hours.
I know, and I watched I can't even say I've watched everything Batman because I didn't watch all of Batfleck. I just never did. But I gave this my old college try, and I didn't make it through. That said, good luck, bro. And I don't mean that with any kind of guile or any kind of sadness. I'm just saying, like, good luck. Like, please take this and do something. I say this as a DC girl from my youth. I mean, Batman and Catwoman were my first, along with Uncanny X-Men and Spider-Man, right? Also, that said, my only favorite good things that WB is doing was Peacemaker.
Yes.
And the Harley Quinn, animated. So I'm
which
still
is
of the mind
currently
of, like,
airing its 3rd season.
It is. And there's a few in that, just like there is a lot of times, there's a few that are like, well, you could move a little bit faster, but it's still great. And I'm still of the mind of like, well, we know James Gunn is leaving Guardians.
Yes.
He already has done the 2nd Suicide Squad, and he did Peacemaker. DC, don't be just like in the muck. Like, again, give this incredible human stuff.
Even if they do like, like they did sort of with, like Marvel did, where the Russo brothers sort of had the overall arcing control of what the major storyline was going to be with Captain America and the Avengers.
Yeah.
But you still allowed Gunn to be as wild as he could be with Guardians, and Taika Waititi with Thor
Ragnarok coming in and just making that a whole thing.
Yep. You could certainly do that here with Matt Reeves and James Gunn. I think that would work fine.
Again, for sure, especially because James Gunn has said he is ending with Marvel, with the Guardians. He was like, I set out to do a trilogy. Trilogy is happening. And he did the thing I didn't think was going to happen with the 2nd Suicide Squad. I was like, really? And but the point is also, come on, DC. Don't just come on.
Yeah.
You need more than one talent. You need more than one showrunner. And you don't have a Feige. I'm sorry. You don't have a Filoni or a Feige. I said it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Or at least they haven't been, if they ever did have one, they haven't been allowed to be that person that they need to be.
You're right. You're right. That's absolutely true. Like, anyway, yes.
So there might be, well, we're going to be talking about a couple of other WB things as we're wrapping up the show here very shortly.
Sure.
But one of the things that we did talk about in the previous episodes of this show was about, of course, how, the cancellation of Batgirl and things like that, which were done entirely for a tax write-off. And I got to just call out Deadline for this article and this Deadline writer, who says, insiders at the studio tell me that in nixing Batgirl, the film group halted an expensive TV film that didn't fit the new strategy that calls for high-end theatrical fare that then finds its place on HBO Max after a short POVD window, taking advantage of a one-time write-off maneuver, which is what they did. They took a tax write-off because they essentially didn't release the movie, so all of the production costs of that movie can be written off as a failed expense. Allowed the motion picture group, the Warner Brothers motion picture group, to lessen whatever layoffs it will have to make. That's one of the worst examples of allowing industry marketing spokespeople to talk right through your mouth as a reporter. This person should be ashamed.
Oh, I agree completely. There is nothing. Yes.
Yeah. They took the tax write-off so shareholders wouldn't lose as much money as they might by the end of the fiscal year. That's the entire reason they did it. They're going to make the layoffs whether they needed to or not, or whether this tax write-off was going to happen or not. They're not going to keep redundant people. They're not going to lay people off to try to balance the books. They've got all of this expense that they can write off as taxes, and that's what they're doing. It's horrible. And we're about to get into the second horrible thing that they're doing.
Yeah, yes. I think this is time to move on to the next bad thing.
So one of the things that they're doing here is that, and this is new. We'll get into the stuff that's not quite so new in a second. There is or was an animated series, Batman Caped Crusader, that was being executive produced by Bruce Timm, the creator of the Batman the Animated Series, that basically created Harley Quinn, inspired almost everything Batman since it was made. J.J. Abrams and their boy Matt Reeves.
Yep.
They have canceled it. It will not happen. It will not move forward at HBO Max alongside Merry Little Batman, no idea what that was supposed to be, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, Bye Bye...
not just the Looney Tunes movie, Bye Bye Bunny, a Looney Tunes musical.
Yep.
Did I do that to the holidays? Is this an Urkel thing?
Yeah, a Steve Urkel story. Yeah, it's a Steve Urkel story.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and The Amazing World of Gumball, the movie. What I have read in other articles is that by canceling something that is already in production, HBO Max gets to, yet again, use that as a tax write-off. So these series that have been canceled that are in production, the series that haven't started production, that's just they don't have to pay out the money. It's done. It's gone. The series that were in production and are being canceled is a tax write-off, and that includes a number of series that are in this, and this is our final topic, this wave of more than 30 titles that they just completely pulled from HBO Max and essentially the universe, including the Not Too Late Show with Elmo, which was a currently running thing. So that means that gets written off as a tax write-off, just like Batgirl did.
And I'm not a mom, but I have look, in my performer communities, there are so many moms, and that is one of the ones that parents have been watching with their kids, is that, Elmo as a talk show person. Yep. And they're like, what in what universe? Oh, I'm sorry, it didn't make as much as, like, I don't know, something else, but if the...
Well, I think part of it, the reason they chose to do that in addition to the tax write-off is because the reason most of these things got dropped and removed from HBO Max is because, at least according to most reports,
yeah,
obviously HBO Max is not going to put it this way, is because that means they do not have to pay residuals to the creators.
Exact. Oh, yes, exactly. And Rodney, there's already, because it's been cut and done, there are some creators for shows like, oh, I'm gonna blank right now. Infinity Train.
Like this is on your
Th-
screen right now, Infinity Train.
okay, that's one where the creators or writers or showrunners or people are like, I have things to say because at this point, what they got to lose? You
And in
know?
fact, that creator said, hey, guess what? Go to piracy.
Yes, thank
Literally
you.
said, you can't, because, and here's the thing, they didn't just take this stuff off of HBO Max. They took all of it off of every piece of social media that is under control of Warner Brothers Discovery. So the Cartoon Network Twitter feeds, YouTube channels, HBO Max Twitter feeds, YouTube channels. The pilot episode of Infinity Train has been on YouTube to be able to watch, which a lot of shows do this, for free since the show premiered 5 years ago. It's gone.
That's right.
Every
It's not just gone. It's like, and you know this so much more than I do. Not just gone. It's scrubbed.
so they scrubbed every mention of it from their social media. They scrubbed
Exactly.
every clip of every show that they pulled from YouTube. If their marketing people had put up a 10-second clip of a good one-liner from Infinity Train, it's gone. It's as there are shows that they
As
pulled where
if
you cannot
it
buy the
never-
soundtrack anymore,
Yeah, as if it never happened.
as if it never
And-
happened.
And no, this is, I don't know that I've ever, well, I mean, maybe when I was younger, something like this happened, though we didn't have streaming and YouTube and whatnot, etc. then. But like this, my dislike of the of Warner Brothers and DC. Well, I don't even know how much it is DC. It might just be Warner Brothers.
Most of this is not actually DC related. In fact, I don't think anything
You're
is.
absolutely right, Rodney. You're absolutely right, because there's so many DC titles and things that are just taken down. And I'm also one of those people who will go on to HBO Max when I'm having like, oh, I don't know, just general shoulder or neck pain or something, where I'm like, I just want to watch something soothing while I'm waiting for my Advil to kick in. And it's like there's so much DC animation, including like Constantine with Matt Ryan, different things. And it's like,
Or Constantine if you're Neil Gaiman.
yeah, I heard
It took me
that.
a while
I
to
was
get.
like,
It's like, okay,
okay,
it's Constantine. I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
Okay. And I did read in depth. I did read in depth of why it's Constantine and not Constantine, and why we didn't get Matt Ryan, and why we do have Joanna, and she is in the Neil Gaiman universe, and that's fine. But beside the point, the point is sometimes we just want to watch our favorite people. You know, sometimes I want to watch that bad hour and 10-minute movie about Batman and Robin doing a thing, and it's animated and it's fine, but it's there on HBO Max and it's in my wheelhouse of love, and now it's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah. Well, and once again, just to make sure that we're clear on this, they didn't pull very much out of the DC canon. That's most of that stuff is still up there.
Oh, okay, then please viewers, don't listen to me waxing. I still got my stuff.
What they pulled down was a lot of stuff that was either HBO Max Originals or from Cartoon Network. And the Cartoon Network stuff is really the stuff that got completely scrubbed out of existence. You can still, if you want to, buy, like a streaming buy, the first 3 seasons of Infinity Train on, I believe, Prime and Apple Play. Maybe Google Play too. There's 3 of them. But I know Prime and Apple Play are 2 of them. And however long that lasts is probably as long as whatever agreement the Warner Brothers signed for the distribution of these things, these Cartoon Network shows, with those 2 platforms. The minute that agreement is done, I guarantee you will not be able to find them anywhere. I watched. If you are an anime fan and you know Jeff Thew from My Mother's Basement, he has a podcast called Basement Life, and he did a pretty solid 12-minute rant about this. And he brings up a point, and he does it in a conspiratorial way. I don't know that this is the case, but not paying residuals to creators who get paid actual dollars, and on a scale that drops from when it premieres to however many seasons it's been running, the animators apparently get paid directly into the healthcare fund of the Animator Guild. Their residuals go directly to a healthcare fund. And that was their decision, because animators are freelancers and they don't have healthcare. Which means that Warner Brothers has just decided to not fund healthcare for the animators that created all of these shows that they were making money on. So
corporations suck.
Corporations suck. And part of the problem is, I mean, I hate what Zaslav is doing. I hate what they're doing with this stuff. And I hate the fact that they are making the decisions to do it this way instead of facing what could be actual lawsuits from their shareholders, because the shareholders could sue them if they do not, in fact, do everything they can to be profitable, even though they aren't going to be. The cost of absorbing this was huge. But as close to profitable as they can. That's called fiduciary duty, and you can be sued for breaching your fiduciary duty as an executive of a publicly owned company. There are ways to do that, and taking tax write-offs for an essentially completed movie, or literally scrubbing shows from the universe so that you don't have to pay their residuals, is not the best way to do that. Now, I understand, yes, you have to have some balls to actually stand up to your shareholders and risk the possibility of a lawsuit if they don't think that you're doing enough to be profitable. But there are executives out there with balls. Zaslav clearly isn't one of them.
Oh, exactly. Absolutely exactly. And there is nothing that's going on with the WB right now, with WB, with Warner Brothers, that gives it any kind of positive look at all.
Yep.
And I actually kind of hope that this does affect shareholders. I hope that they get some kind of comeuppance for their cowardice and their bottom line, and again, their misogyny, their race, all the things.
Yes, all the things.
All the things.
Now, I'm not going to go as far as Jeff Thew did in his particular rant, who said you should cancel your HBO Max subscription, because if enough people did it, that is a message stronger than what they are currently sending to the shareholders. And he said, do the piracy thing. Now, Nerd Caliber isn't going to take that position, but Nerd Caliber isn't your dad. So you do what you do.
Nerd Caliber isn't your mama either.
And not your mama.
Not your mama.
Hattie Funkman, welcome to the show. Hattie, we are wrapping up our very last topic.
Yeah, we're Hattie, we're on the end. So next time you tune in, next Tuesday, we start just 1 hour earlier.
Yep.
But we're happy you're here.
Yeah, but yes, and thank you very much for joining in on the comments. And on that, yeah, let's wrap it up. I'm getting so sick of talking about WB. You know, it's just...
It's like you think it's ending, Rodney.
No, it's not going to end.
It's been ongoing, but we're not.
I mean, it's just like we have a week now where we're not talking about Ezra Miller because of the good news from last week. And I'm still hoping that is actual, real good news. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
We'll see.
Anyway, that's it, folks. That's it. Thank you all for joining us. Before we give our goodbyes here, our last promo, please do check us out at patreon.com/nerdcaliber. If you ever mind to, we would love to have you be a patron. Our revenues coming in from that go towards going to different cons, bringing you new content, and things like that.
It absolutely all goes into bringing you new content. It really does.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, we will be at Pop Cult Anime Con in Waltham in Massachusetts next weekend. We will have, as we already said, a team at Dragon Con.
Yes, and Rodney, I do have to chat with you on that to make sure I'm up to speed on everything that we're doing. But yes,
Yes.
I'm Gogo Incognito, and I am a nerd caliber OG, and I will be everywhere at Dragon Con. This is my last promo to you about myself. Just follow me on Instagram at gogo_incognito. I will be on the microphone literally every single day of con.
Nice. Very cool. And with that, folks, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you at an upcoming show next week or at an upcoming con. Stay safe whenever you go out. There's still horrible stuff that can do horrible things to you. Please wear that mask when you're in a crowd.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just keep doing it.
All right, folks,
All right.
That's it. Good night and bye-bye.
Good night.